Mark, good morning. How's it?
I'm very well, thanks. I'm not as well as the gold price because
Oh,
that's
okay.
exceptionally well. Okay. And now there's two things I want to say about the gold price. Is first of all, I think it's up 85% over a year, which is
Right,
must be its biggest annual increase ever. But
right,
that's okay with me. What's not okay with me is that every now and again you and I disagree about things. And I'm sick
right.
and tired of you being right. Okay. I mean, can you know,
Yes, yes.
and it's just because you know more than I do. And this doesn't reflect well on me socially, Tim.
Right.
Okay. A lot of my friends
Okay.
have come up and said to me, the Oaks and the Karoo know more about this shit than you do. Okay. It's not good for me, Tim. Okay. Can you make a
Just
few mistakes? Just
okay. Yeah,
sympathetically,
yeah, no, no problem.
pitifully.
I can. I'm very good at that. I also that's one of my great skills. But in what respect am I right? Because I just one loses track sometimes of your one's rightness.
Long time ago, we talked about the divergence of gold and Bitcoin,
Right.
and I was saying, "Oh, I'm not sure whether you should buy or sell that double." And I was, of course, wrong. And here's the
Right.
trouble with being wrong: is if you're wrong, you should never take your own advice. You understand? You should only take your own advice when you're right. And so, yeah. And so, is there an end to the gold price rise, Mister Gold Whisperer?
um. Um. First of all, can I just say I have no idea?
Yeah,
Can we
yeah,
just premise it on
yeah,
that
yeah.
on that basis? The I think I think it's very peakish now. I mean, that is my sense of
Yeah.
what's happened because
Mm.
uh, clearly, just to go back to the question of the correlation between Bitcoin and gold, they're both assets which theoretically you should buy in times of high debt and high geopolitical stress, because they are both
Yeah.
the alternative asset, right?
Anti-acids, as you once called them. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And but clearly there's something at work with gold that isn't at work with Bitcoin because Bitcoin has basically been flat for the past year. And that difference has been the desire of big country reserve banks to increase their gold holdings. And that is basically
Yeah.
to hedge against the dollar, which has been declining because the other thing that people have noticed is that the rand is now at 1640 or something. But I think that has to come to a stop at some point. At some point, the reserve,
Yeah, I
the
do.
global
I
reserve
definitely
banks,
think so. I think the vaults must be
yeah, are
filling up,
full.
and I think the rand strength is as much dollar weakness as anything else. Yeah.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, yeah. It's I would say 80% dollar weakness and 10% slightly
Yeah.
improving sort of economy in South Africa. That's
No.
actually only adds up to 90. But anyway, we'll just skip over that
Yeah.
because
So, yeah, no. So, talking about dollars and talking
yes,
about them as a currency, I see the U.S., or should I say, President Donald Trump, has put a price on Denmark. Okay, and he's offering to buy
okay,
it for
right,
$700 billion. Okay,
right,
plus a hundred
right,
thousand dollars for every single citizen. You see, now
okay.
that if you're sitting freezing your little bum off, eating your last slice of freshly cut out of the ice fish that's running out or something,
Right.
you might think that $100,000 is worth selling yourself for. So it's a bit of a sneaky, I mean,
Right.
I can remember so many deals, particularly property deals, when people come in and they go, "Okay, I'm going to give you a cash offer." As if there
Right.
were any other kind of offer. Okay,
Yes, 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 yeah.
and people fall for that trick. They go like, "Cash offer." Well, there's
Oh,
a
a
thing.
cash
So
offer. Yeah.
Denmark's in play, but okay. Now,
Okay.
if they wanted to buy South Africa, I wonder
Yes, no,
what
this
we'd
is
get
the
each.
point. Yeah, yes, yes, yes.
Because
I think they can.
maybe,
First of all, I think they
hello,
can chop that $100,000 by half, and they would still give
yeah.
the deal away.
Well, yeah, there would be a hell of a rush to see who are South African citizens. I mean, it would be the
Yeah.
best way to determine the real voting pool. Anyway, moving on from that funniness, there's a lot of absurdness happening. I see another person was sadly shot in Minneapolis. And I watched with some awe at how the people guilty of that shooting defended themselves.
Yes.
And, there was some, they find themselves in a kind of easy to defend kind of mode, which is, it's our job. We are told to do this,
Yes.
and we signed up as police and army, and we are there to do this job, and it's our job. And so don't look at us, look at the people kind of that instruct us and the people that break the law. So they kind
Right.
of immunize themselves from it. But I'm sure, that this is all about, appropriate force and appropriate discretion. But if you're an army oak, there's no such
Yes.
thing as, opinion. There's law and rules.
Yes.
Otherwise you die. Okay. And so it's a very interesting juxtaposition of those views and real
No, no,
life,
no.
which is
There's.
unraveling.
I mean, immigration. I mean, first of all, you have to say that there's a lot of kind of we must resist ICE, sort of
Mm,
stuff going around. So it's not as though the populace is sort of, being cooperative and. But I just
yeah,
think it's incredibly undermines the authority of people who do require you to, for whom it is necessary that people respect the actions of police officers. Because
yes.
if you have police officers acting like, sort of like common or garden gangs, then that just increases the
The
resistance,
whole
and then
system
they act
falls
more like
apart.
gangs, and the whole system sort of falls apart. And the other
Yeah.
thing is, I did see, it's a sort of common internet meme that most of the people who ICE are arresting have criminal charges against them, or have.
Records.
But
Yeah.
they now the stats don't reflect that. That they in there
Mm.
was a time when ICE used to arrest people with criminal conviction or criminal charges. More than they arrested other people. But now the other people
Mm.
portion of that has is now larger than the arresting of the people with criminal records. I mean, or with
Yeah. I mean,
sort of charges against them. Um,
I
I
don't
mean,
think it's a
the thing is,
statistics debate.
you don't think so? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I don't think it's about numbers. I think it's about attitudes, and I think it's about purpose, and I think it's about things outside of the rules. What is the overriding intention of the law enforcement? What is and all of those kinds of things, which
Yeah,
require at their epicenter valid but empathetic and deep understanding in leadership.
yeah.
So it's a debate a bit above my payroll, but it's not a pleasant thing to
No,
keep
no.
watching.
It's a sort of what I think people have lost track of is that immigration is generally speaking good. The
Yeah.
because I mean, and there is no country on earth that should not know that better than Americans, who have founded their whole culture on immigration. I mean, I do
Yeah, I
understand that if you just open up the doors, then you have incredible pressure on social systems, and it is true that a very high proportion of criminality amongst immigrants, because they sort of by definition sit outside of outside of the social system. But on the other hand, the net effect of immigration is usually good for the society as a whole, because you gain
well, Tim,
citizens who are
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
you're making
okay,
a
yeah,
you're making a hell of a generalization there. I
okay,
mean, I think I think net immigration has proved to be good, particularly in the US. Otherwise, there'd be no one there. Okay, but
yes, yes,
no one would be there yet. Okay, but there've got to be rules. There've got to be filters. There've got to be purposes. There've got to be things. Now, if there's a difference between immigration and illegal immigration, okay,
yes,
and so we can argue about the rules and get the rules right, but there's a big difference when someone's coming there looking for your future and when someone's coming there to destroy the present. Okay, and so there's a difference between
yes.
job-seeking immigration and protest immigration. So I think it's a big, big subject that, and
No, no, that's true. Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
the TV is focusing on just the juicy stuff and not the real stuff. But okay,
yeah, yeah,
too big a debate for me.
yeah. Okay.
Can we move on to
Can
another
I?
thing which you're a bit of an expert on, which is
Okay,
AI?
okay.
I saw you wrote a great article about chess.
Okay. Can I tell you about it, or is that just too
Yes,
much of a
tell me.
repetition? Okay. No, 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 no.
No,
I
tell
was
me.
just wondering, because a lot of people are worried about, will AI reduce the total number of jobs in society? A lot of studies have been done, and they all show that. And I was very interested. Jamie Dimon in one of his discussions at Davos, which I listened to, which is actually worth listening to. He's really such a smart guy. I mean,
Yeah.
he's the head of J.P. Morgan Bank, which is now the largest bank by
Yeah, if
assets
his pay
in Britain.
package is correlated to his IQ, he must be more clever.
Yes. Well, fortunately, he seems very smart. But he was sort of asked very specifically, do you see your bank having fewer employees in 5, 10 years time because of AI? And he said, yes. So anyway, that's the paranoia. Okay, so people are worried about the fact that,
Yeah,
as they always have throughout society,
yeah,
throughout
yeah.
history, people have worried
Automation, never
about new
mind AI, all
technology.
of
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
stuff. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And
Technology is everything.
generally speaking, high levels of technology have not been net job destroyers.
Creators.
Yeah, they're job creators, which is why you should go for as a society, why you should try and improve your tech. But people argue that AI is different just because it's bigger and it's aimed at white collar jobs, and there's a lot of things that it could be doing, and it's very worrying. Studies have come out anyway. So I thought, well, why don't we just compare that to what happened with chess? Because chess
Mm.
happened. Chess is equivalent to AI, but it happened, sort of like 20 years ago now. We can sort of see what effect that had. Actually, the effect has been massively different. Instead of making chess less popular, it's made chess more popular, massively more popular, because there's a standard against.
To say?
No, no, no. And also, the other thing is, there's programs, engines as they're called, are now so fabulously good. They beat everyone. Nobody even tries
Mm.
to beat them anymore because they just beat everyone. But if you look at what they're doing, they have these chess programs fighting each other instead of fighting humans, because that's pointless because they win too much. So anyway, and they are playing some really absolutely beautiful chess games, and
Yeah.
I'm
I,
I'm much more positive about AI because of the history of what's happened to chess, even though I know it's different. That's my situation.
yeah.
What do you think?
I used to be something of a chess player until too many people started beating me. But the thing I like, there was this one guy at school. His name was Stan, and I think we've said this before. Anyway, he used to beat me.
Right. Okay.
But the one thing I like playing against machines about playing against machines is if you've got a hammer, okay,
Right.
and and the machine starts beating you, it's not illegal to kill a machine. Okay.
Yes, no, that's
Whereas
true.
if you yeah.
You
So
can
yeah, no,
also make the
AI,
machine stupider, which is
yeah,
good,
you unplug the
useful.
damn thing, or take away some of its RAM or whatever you call that stuff nowadays. Anyway, yeah. Well, listen, I've got
Um,
mixed views on AI. I mean, I think AI tidies up, but it can't create. That I tweeted that, and I've got lots of response. Anyway, we'll learn. It's
yeah,
definitely useful
I
and
sort of,
misunderstood. Now, can we agree on
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was also interested in you saying that you try not to
Yeah,
rely too much on AI because you're
yeah,
interested in exercising your own brain rather than just
yeah,
taking the shorthand solution,
yeah,
which I thought was quite an
yeah,
interesting thing. So
yeah.
I think that's quite good.
Yeah, but then
I,
I'm
on the
old
other
fashioned,
hand,
Tim. I still
do
got
the
a
opposite.
sundial outside. Eh?
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Which is fantastically
yeah, yeah.
useful at night.
Yeah, exactly. No, I worry about lowest common denominator solutions. I worry about
Yes,
aggregations as opinions. I worry about populism as a source of power. If we
right,
look at the result of democracies around the world, they haven't exactly produced, changes in leadership and things of that nature. They've entrenched leadership by some. It's not working for me, this populism
right.
thing. Anyway, let's move on. Talking about things that are popular. I
Yeah,
read yesterday or this morning that a lotto ticket, which cost 50, has
right,
just won the lotto, which is 178 million. That's quite a
okay,
good return.
right.
And so I can't imagine what's going to happen to the poor soul who's just found himself with 178 million. His life is going to be turmoil from now on. And he's going to gather friends who used to be enemies, and so it goes on.
Right.
I am fundamentally opposed to gambling because I think
Okay.
it's a disease of the poor. But I'm not against the lotto because I think it's a trivial sum of money and it gives everyone a chance at a party. The only
Okay.
issue I have, and the issue I'd like to focus on, is what are the proceeds of lotto get applied to? Because I think it's a great revenue source for government. Okay. And
Okay.
so I think the focus should be on the use of funds out of lotto, and then it's virtuous and it's pervasive and it's relatively small. You can't bet, well, I suppose you can bet bigger and bigger sums, but it's a sort of a retailer's gambling thing rather than casinos and bets. And you can now bet on anything. You can bet on, apparently, someone won a huge sum of money betting on the fact that the Venezuela president would still be in charge or not by now or something. And so you can bet on, there's a new platform, I forgot what it's called, Pentalon or something like that. Talking about government
But
revenue.
can I just ask you some questions about that rather general statement that you made there? The
I thought it
couldn't you
was only
say the
you that
same
was allowed to
thing?
make.
Okay. Couldn't you say the same thing that you've just said about ordinary betting? That this is so you say you're against gambling because it's it's a sort of kind of poor people thing. But the lotto is as well, of course, and you do pay a lot of tax on online gambling. And
Mm,
people I haven't seen evidence yet of people
no,
bankrupting themselves. That there, it might be there. I'd be interested to kind of read more about it. The historical statistics are that around about 5% of gamblers do go kind of overboard. So 95% of gamblers are they sort of bet some money and hope and look, and it
no,
makes the thing more
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Your justification for the lotto is that you could use that money usefully.
Yeah.
But couldn't you
Well,
do the same with the taxes that you make on
yes,
online
you
gambling?
can, but I'm sorry, there's a difference between walking past your local post office, oops, we don't have one, and having a 10 rand shy at on your way to work, having a 10 rand shy at the lottery, which is a
Okay.
regulated whatever. There's a very big difference between that and seating yourself in front of a machine for 5 hours with on a table where the odds are against you and all of that thing, and having a drink and being in an environment where the only purpose in being there is to take on odds which are going to defeat you. And you might say 95% of gamblers don't lose money, but you're defining. I mean, I think that's an ill definition of the population that you're talking about, because in
Right.
my experience, most gamblers lose money. I don't know
No, no, no. I
whether
wasn't saying that, right?
statistics are
I
recorded.
wasn't saying.
Okay, well, you're
I'm
saying they
talking
don't go
about.
bankrupt. Yeah,
Well, they're not problem gamblers. So people lose money, or everybody
yeah,
loses.
yeah,
People lose
yeah,
money on the
yeah.
lotto. I mean, the lotto is basically a tax on people who are struggle with maths because
Yeah.
the odds are against you by definition. Can I just tell you about my experience? Because I like to, I in the past I've actually bought Bitcoin because I want to know the process. I bought Melania, the because I want to know the process of how difficult it is and how what exactly you have to do. So anyway, I've decided I went onto the sports betting site and I've placed a series of bets. And can I just tell you about them? Okay.
No,
So
please. I mean, why not expose
so
yourself on
I
this
have first of
public
all, can I
platform?
just tell you my net position? My net position
Yeah,
is that I am $5 up, which is very good, I think.
well done, Tim.
And
I mean, the return on effort there is self-explanatory.
I know
Okay, and the
exactly.
reason you did it wasn't because you wanted to make money, it's because you wanted to learn. So you had a
Yes.
virtuous purpose. Have you explained this? Is this how you explained it to your wife? No, darling, I'm not using the housekeeping money to gamble.
Right.
I'm learning about
I'm
asset
learning about gambling. Yes, yes.
classes.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
So my
Okay, Tim,
bet
tell
was on,
someone
and this is
else.
my
Yeah.
bet, and I think it's very smart. So I think you should, I think
Oh,
people,
yeah,
listeners
no
would be
doubt
very
you
interested.
do. I mean, because you've just said, gambling is for those who don't understand mathematics. But go ahead with your smart bet. I
Okay.
can't wait. Yeah.
So I bet on Bafana Bafana winning the World Cup. And the reason I
Yeah,
did
well, the
that
odds must be. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because the odds are very small. So your returns are
It's a
very
bit like the
high.
lotto.
Exactly. Exactly. That's right. And you can sell your bet before the actual event takes place. So now the odds have inevitably on Bafana winning, which were, less than half a percentage point, have gone up to by sort of 200 basis points, and that has resulted in me gaining $5. And I'm very pleased about that. And I feel
That's
patriotic
not good.
because,
No, no, no,
and but
no,
I am forced to say that I might
no.
sell my
Yeah,
Bafana winnings
no,
before the actual event takes place
you're
because I'm
not
not sure
you're
they
not
will, in
betting on
fact, win.
Tim, you're not betting on Bafana. You're
Right.
trading the changing odds of Bafana. Okay, so you've got an
Exactly.
instrument. So you bet on the likelihood that the initial odds would change if they won the first round or they do all those sort of things. So the
Yeah.
odds of that are very different. You bet on a different kind of thing. But I do wish you well. But what I'm really saying is, if betting is exactly as you've sketched it and as the lotto would contain it, is a trivial sum on an unlikely event, and you carry on with your life. If it doesn't consume you and if it doesn't really materially change you unless you win, then I would say
Right.
it's cool.
Okay.
Otherwise, not. Now, by the way, that
Okay.
place where you can bet on anything, I think it's called the Poly Market. It's a new
Correct.
thing where you can. So, Tim, take your $5 and have a go.
Okay.
I want to talk about revenue. I want to talk about tax base. There was an article in, I think
You
it
know,
was
we
yesterday's
could talk
Business
about
Day.
that, but we've sort of run out of time, I'm afraid, Mark, and that's a very big
Oh
topic.
dear. Okay.
So maybe we should put a peg in that and come back to it and talk
Yeah.
about it because
It's a big
it's just going
deal.
to be more and more interesting as the budget gets nearer.
Yeah.
But anyway, as
We have a
always, it's
declining,
been,
aging tax base.
yeah, no, exactly. But as always, it's been a fabulous fun chatting to you, and you can tell that because we've run out of time before we've run out of things to talk about, which
Yeah.
we do every week.
I hope the audience feels the same.
Yeah, assuming that the audience is still here. Um, cool, Mark.
Yeah.
Look after yourself over the next
Okay.
week.
Have a good week.
Oh, sorry. Can I
You
can I
too,
just
man.
have a
Cheers.
do a little advert? I'm launching my book. It's about Leon Lowe. It's called The Legacy of Solutions. It's about how to fix South Africa. It's taking place at the Santon Exclusives at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Everybody's welcome. You get canapes, I think, and probably some wine. And then you have to listen. You don't have to listen. You can have the canapes and leave if you want to. But you're
Yeah.
welcome to come and check us out. We will be live. Thanks very much.
I'm sure it's going to be interesting. Go there, Pete. Cheers.
Cheers.